Peace, beloved brethren. By the Heavenly Father's grace and mercies, just going to get into a couple of scriptures that guide us on the important topic of marriage, period. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus is a separate book from Ecclesiastes that's also in the Bible. The Bible in English there are two of them, the 1611 King James Version Bible and the 1769 King James Version Bible, which I have in my hand. It's not a preference or an opinion or a parroted belief. It's because both of those Bibles are the word of the Heavenly Father, translated from the original Hebrew and Greek languages into our modern English tongue or language, or Old English language. So now, and they both contain all the books of the Bible. So let's go to Ecclesiasticus 7. All right. So we're going to get right to the point. Let's start from verse 23. It says, "Hast thou children, instruct them, and bow down their neck from their youth." So these are direct commandments showing us that if we have children, or obviously even if we don't, that we're learning the foundational and fundamental responsibilities to those children, that you're to instruct them the Bible, you're to teach them the Bible, and also you're to bow down their neck. You're not to be their buddy. You're not to be in a democratic house where everyone has the last word, or you can tell your dad or mom to go to hell, or tell them whatever you want disrespectfully and sin. No. And a good parent is going to care for their child. They're not just going to be a dictator. Yet many people, they don't understand, without applying the Bible, they don't understand the distinction of these things. When to put their foot down, even if their child is crying, and when to be merciful, even if their child doesn't know to ask for mercy or ask for grace. True judgment, true guidance, true wisdom. So now, and true love that must include being impartial and having true judgment. So let's continue. So it says, now at verse 24, it says, "Hast thou daughters, have a care of their body, and show not thyself cheerful toward them." So the Lord gives us wisdom also on these products that will come from a marriage. In many cases, children. When two people become one flesh, spiritually and physically, one of the products that come from that is children. So if you have female children, you have to have equal love and devotion and teach and guide and instruct them, but you have an additional layer to care for their body, because if they have sex with the wrong person, that can really damage them for the rest of their life, or bring hardships that they're not ready to handle. So having experience and then coupling that with the understanding of the scriptures, you're able to better parent your children and help them to prevent problems that they won't want any part of. Okay? Even if they're sprinting towards those problems. So now it says, "Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter." Very powerful commandment, and also wisdom at the same time, because when the Heavenly Father commands us to marry our daughter, that's a commandment. That's not optional. So even if you don't live in the same house with your daughter, this commandment doesn't go anywhere. Even if you're not in communication with your daughter, or you're still between, I'm not ready to be a father, this could be my daughter, I don't know if I could trust their mother. It's a lot of errors there, but this commandment doesn't go anywhere. So as a result, when we're following the commandments, we start to make better overall decisions, and then we start to identify the most important of important decisions, like this, which is to marry thy daughter. You're to choose her boyfriend. You have to choose her mate, to choose her husband. You know, you're not to be playing catch up. Oh, really? Oh, you like this guy? Oh, you've been with this person for 6 weeks, 3 months, 7 years. We're not to we're not to be how most men are, because we won't be able to serve the Lord correctly if that's what we're doing. And that's why we're commanded to marry our daughter, because that's one of the most important things in this life is who you choose as a mate. Other scriptures that speak about weighty matters is Matthew chapter 23, verse 23, which are faith, mercy, and judgment. Those are foundational, as well as what our actions will be having if we actually worship the Heavenly Father. If we actually keep his commandments, we're going to have faith, mercy, and judgment in our actions. Wise judgment, true judgment. Judging when to speak, when to be quiet. Judging when to butt in and when to keep your distance and wait for the right moment. You're going to have wisdom. You're also going to judge thoroughly, because you're going to have mercy as well. You're going to understand it's hard to be a single mom. You're going to understand that it's hard to be in oppression as a people that are in the cycle of sin. You're going to understand that there's times, even when you're right, that you might still let someone else have the microphone, or let them speak, in other words. But when we don't have wisdom, we're not going to have faith. We're going to be praying. We're going to be thinking the Lord owes us something, or that we're great as we are. We don't have to improve. God did a good job when he made us or created us. Going to have the pride and the opposite of faith. So faith, mercy, and judgment are weighty matters of the law. Then we come back to marry thy daughter. So shalt thou have performed the weighty matters. So will you have achieved something that's profound in this life? Something that's one of the most important things you will do in this life. Okay, so don't take it lightly. And as a father, guide your daughter in that process completely. And as a daughter, look to your father. You know, or look, if you have a stepfather that's God-fearing, whatever your situation is, make sure that you're looking and to apply the commandments rather than just doing whatever you want, whatever anybody else is doing. You don't want to be normal in this world. That's a fatal recipe. So now that's going to be a bad look at the end. Let's continue. It says, you don't believe me? Read Matthew's chapter 7, verse 13. Where the Lord commands us to enter in at the straight gate. Okay, so don't be like everybody else, hasting and confidently going to their own destruction. Let's continue. Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding. So you don't give her to the guy that's handsome that she likes, or the person with the nicest car. Well, he comes from a rich family. He's over 6'7", like she likes. Those aren't the requirements of a good man. Some men possess those physical attributes, but that's not what's ultimately important. And it becomes more important when we have less understanding. Okay, so make sure, as a woman and mainly as a man that's guiding and marrying your daughters, choosing a man for them, make sure that you're looking at what's the most important characteristic this man has, that he's a man of understanding, that he fears the Heavenly Father. Okay, so now let's finish up. It says, hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not. So you better get a wife that agrees with you in the scriptures. You can say and do whatever you want, any gold, achievement, college degrees, you can do whatever you want. You don't get the right wife, you are going to suffer. You're going to destroy the family that you haven't even brought forth yet because you're choosing the wrong mate. Let's continue. So let's read that again. Hast thou a wife after thy mind, forsake her not. So the key is to make sure that you get a good woman. Make sure your mind is right, because a lot of men get a wife after their mind because she's got a big behind, or she's very sensual in bed, or kinky or something. But at the end of the day, them fulfilling their lust with a woman most times is going to be their undoing. Choosing a woman because of your sinful desires, instead of you desiring her because she has the mind that you do. She wants to raise her children to also be God-fearing. She wants to raise her children to be productive in life, to help others, to be an example, to represent the Heavenly Father and our people well. And many may talk a good game, but they don't have that mind. Let's finish up. It says, hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not. But give not thyself over to a light woman. So a light woman is another word for light, meaning hateful. You don't want to settle or choose a wicked woman. And yes, you may choose a woman before you started learning the Bible or applying the scriptures. All that means is that then you're going to teach her. And the Lord will intervene if she's not for you really, or not for the Lord, or not for doing what's right. The Heavenly Father will move her out the way. Plus, she's not going to want to be around you when she has all these wicked choices at her beck and call, or at the edge of her fingertips that she can reach and indulge in. So make sure, fam, that you choose obeying the word instead of anything else. And when we're learning the Bible, you don't want to be hasty to end a relationship, whether that's a long-term relationship or marriage. You don't want to be hasty. And that's what the Lord teaches us, how to rule our spirit, how to have true judgment. But you don't want to hear the word, I'm out. You have kids. You may have been together a long time, whether you have kids or not. You don't want to be hasty. You want to apply the scriptures in handling that situation as a believing husband or boyfriend with an unbelieving wife or girlfriend, which is not to head to the nearest exit and get out of there. You know, ultimately, you want to pray to the Lord to guide you and not be hasty, even when times are tough, or even if there may be up and downs that you didn't have before, you don't really want to be a part of. The scriptures will guide you in those challenges and in those trials and temptations. Let's go to Proverbs 14:1. There are many precepts on this topic, so familiarize yourself with them. Ecclesiasticus chapter 26. Ecclesiasticus chapter 36 from about verse 21 on down. Ecclesiasticus 25 verse 14 on down. Proverbs 31. We can go on and on. It's time for you to learn those scriptures and apply them. Okay. So you're not just unlearned looking to get a woman, or you have a woman, you think you know what you're doing and what to teach her. Kill the pride. Start learning, brothers. That's truly going to show how wise you are based on how teachable you are by the scriptures, not how much you know or think you know, or if you sound intelligent. So, or sound educated. So let's just go to Proverbs 14. Proverbs 14, verse 1. Okay. Every wise woman buildeth her house. So whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, these truths don't change. They're provided to give us understanding, a foundation of wisdom, a foundation of truth, a foundation that doesn't change. Let's read it again. Whether you're in 12 BC or you're in 2026 AD, this doesn't change. Every wise woman buildeth her house. So a wise woman is going to build her house by looking to have children and having children. She's not going to be looking for birth control, looking to tell a man what she's not going to do. She's not going to do things that end relationships. She's not going to do things that bring about hatred to the person that loves her and that she should be wanting to get old with and share life together with and memories with and love with. Okay. Create family with. But that's only speaking for a wise woman. She's gonna what? She's gonna build it. She's gonna build her house. Okay. She's gonna look to increase her nest. Check this out. It says, "But the foolish plucketh it down with her hands." But instead of a wise woman, an unwise woman, a wicked woman, a foolish woman, she's gonna, by her own words and actions. That's why it says hands, because hands represent our actions. By her own actions, she's going to destroy her own house. Being an adulterous woman, a lying woman, a deceitful woman, a vindictive woman, competing with her daughter, she's going to be a psycho. Going to be full of demons and a devil. So we're forewarned to guide our children, especially our daughters, so that we raise them right, so they're not foolish. And also that our sons are wise enough to not choose dragons and wicked snakes like this. And you better choose well, because there's far less good, wise women that build their house than many wicked women and foolish women that will destroy it. They'll be the one fighting for abortion rights. They're looking to, why would I want a kid that's going to destroy my life? Why would I sacrifice my happiness for my family? That's silly. Like happiness is something that life is all about. Isn't the kingdom of heaven? What are you talking about? Happiness. Get the right person and do the right things. That'll give you inner joy, and you'll be content even during tough times. But if you're scarred or you're traumatized, or you've been through things, you've been violated and haven't dealt with it, or you sexualized yourself out of curiosity, out of trauma, or different things, you're good to no one. And fathers have to help their daughters. Fathers have to intervene when moms are making bad choices or choosing to be rivals and enemies with their daughters. Fathers got to develop a backbone, got to start being men. And part of that is marrying your daughter and guiding her, as well as your wife. So when you choose a woman and you look at her sexually, you're looking at everything. Does she look like someone do I know her to see that she takes instruction? I can know her. I don't know her if I just see her body or her trying to entice me by bending over, faking the need to bend over, or whatever she's doing, in my presence, or trying to attract me to her sexually. Attract me by being a humble woman, by listening to wise counsel or instruction, by not trying to buck up when a wise man is giving the Lord's wisdom and authority, not his own wisdom, not foolishness or opinions. But if a woman can't submit to a man except behind closed doors sexually, you don't have a good woman. So make sure that you start to grow in understanding, brothers and sisters, so that you're evaluating life based on what the Heavenly Father says. He didn't say some, he said every wise woman buildeth her house. Then look at all the women fighting for abortion rights, or to walk around naked, or free their, upper body or something publicly. Those are things that damage children. Those are things that make a family worthy to be mocked. Those are things that in a world that's evil, the same people that give you the freedom to dress and be naked and do whatever you want will be the same ones to shame you when you do it. But by not knowing wisdom, you're going to be following wickedness that's going to turn around and bite and destroy you anyway. That's why, brothers, we have to be wise. We have to continue in the word, learn it, and continue in it. That's how we're true disciples. And then we'll know the truth, and the truth will set us free. John 8:31 and 32. Holy hugs, beloved brethren. All honor, praises, and glory to our Almighty Heavenly Father through his word in our life, the biblical Jesus Christ. Peace.